Alright, so here's a simple layout for the subway system that I'm going for. It doesn't have to be this on any particular server, it's just that this is a good way to conveniently test this. So there's a series of satellite stations on a ring. That ring has traffic going both directions, and that traffic will also go to and from a main station in the middle, which is probably close to your spawn. So that main station will be easily accessible to some person coming into the server, and then they can go out in any direction and then ride around for the novelty of using a train system. Departing from a station will consist of a few features. There will be a cart waiting that the player can load into sitting on a stone pressure plate, and that'll send it along the main line here. Once on the main line, the empty carts or any runaway carts will end up being picked up and go all the way up into a cart magazine. That cart magazine will refill the cart loading area, so you have a nice... Arriving at a station is a bit more complicated. I have just opted to have each player come to a complete stop, as well as retrieving each of the empty carts when the player exits the cart to refill my cart magazine at each station. Let's take a detailed look at the subway station. The bottom floor will probably be a lobby with access to two platforms. The top floor will be a miniature diagram that I'll do in block form so that players know you are here and how the other stations connect to the station. So the two different platforms just go down on the various stairs and allow access to the main floor. The main floor has two tracks that run parallel and go in one direction through the station. So these two tracks will have one-way traffic as guided by or as needed by a multiplayer server. That way you can avoid collisions. So each side has an outgoing cart. Once the rider is in the cart, it will convey it off and enter the main line. Once again, this is mirrored on this side. It'll convey it off and exit on the main line. Now, in order to have a new cart waiting, I have a system set up to where a new cart will drop into place. So let's take a look at this. We'll go down to the south platform. And immediately entering the south platform, you'll see two areas. You'll see a disembarking area with a cart waiting. I need but get in order to take off and onto the main line. I'll see an incoming area with different lanes. Right now I only have one lane built, but I'll go into more detail about the incoming. Eventually, about 3 lanes will probably be needed for a multiplayer server so that players no longer collide with each other. This is a cart magazine which supplies the carts that you see here. And I'll talk about this system as we get to it. So when a player comes out of the station, they'll be coming in, they'll get in the cart, and they'll ride off. And down the hallway. Looks like there's a cow chilling over there. Alright, so the hallways, I've decided to make them 5 wide with the tracks on the outer side so that I can put a booster cart as I need in the middle and not worry about collisions on this opposite side. I could also run additional tracks since it's 5 high on the top if I wanted to say run 4 lines in the same tunnel at some point on a very populated server without using up too much of the server space. So let's take a look at that again. I got in my cart, and this activated a stone pressure plate. The stone pressure plate's tied to a wire, and that wire opens up a booster cart. This booster cart waiting will open out, enter this line, proceed past where my rider is, pick them up, throw them on the main line. The booster cart will continue, get charged again, and grab a cart out of that cart magazine. The cart out of the cart magazine will get shut down and around on a track all the way up to the top to reset it. The booster cart will come around and then re-enter its holding area. So let's take a look at this in cycling action. When I remove this pressure plate and replace it with a wooden pressure plate. Now, when I put a cart on it, it will activate my booster. My booster will shoot it out, and it will send the cart along. The empty cart came back here. A new cart from the stack came here, and go along. Now that happens because I have a switch here, a stone pressure plate, to detect that there's no rider. And what happens is when there's no rider, it'll automatically go back into that cart magazine, as you can see there. It's just a direct switch. There's a torch underneath this bend in the track. So when a player rides by, this will open up and the cart will continue. So let's take a look at how the cart magazine is pulled off. New cart came in, booster comes around, picks it up. That cart goes off, booster goes back into the set. New cart comes in, booster's on its way, picks up a cart off there, and sends it on its way. That's very much like a clock. In fact, this process can run indefinitely since it resupplies itself. Let's go chase this one. So up here, we'll wait for the next cart to go by. This cart goes all the way over and goes to my pressure plate. Now, empty carts will be picked up by this switch, and they'll go straight up here. And empty into my cart magazine. Eventually it would make sense to have either a very large magazine or a buffer magazine which will catch runoff from here. You can implement a plate here if you increase the slope of this or increase the distance that this cart would fall. Put a wooden pressure plate here and then tie that to a circuit to feed or switch off carts to that other holding magazine. That way, if this one is overflowed, you don't back up the system. That might be important if you arrive or several players arrive at a particular station. So I'm going to leave this cycling for now because there's no reason not to. The opposite side, just as a note, is a mirror image with one exception. Some of the pathways have to be avoided because of the stair line goes underneath the reload line for the cart magazine. That's simply because I chose to make the cart magazine a visual aspect of playing the game. So I'll also let this one cycle. Without a cart, it'll pick up a cart. New cart will come up, drop over, and the whole system will cycle. Let's talk about incoming. So incoming system, I have set up a pressure switch or a button. And so this arriving button would be pressed when a player is coming into the station. They would press this button. And this button is set up to an RS and OR latch hidden down here that will change the state of a torch beneath this block. And so when I press that, it turns the player this way, and then they'll hit a reset switch, which closes this loop. So once again, I'll hit the button, turn off, reset that, so additional players go by and come up here. I have a similar switch set up here. However, I have it set up in lanes. So each of the arriving lanes, which are not yet complete, will be spitting out players, and they'll lock themselves off as soon as a player enters them. This is accomplished by tying an RS and OR latch hidden down here to two switches. We'll have an activation switch and a reset switch, this wooden pressure plate here. Those control the state of this torch, which will in turn flip the state of this track. So right now, any player coming in will turn into this lane. When they hit this switch, all future players will be bypassing that lane and land there. This will stay closed until a player hits the reset switch there. So once a reset switch is hit, this is accessible again. We'll close it, and then we can reset it. That way we can have individual lanes for each arriving player. Now, as I repair this, there's a stone pressure plate here that's attached to an on-off relay. As well as the on-off relay feeds input to a RS and OR switch. We'll take a look at those here in a second. The purpose of this is for when the player rides in on his cart, a cart will be sitting there. That cart will be picked up and conveyed off from this loop and dropped into a line so that it can refill my cart magazine. I'll enter this and nothing happens since I just arrived, and then I'll get out and the cart will be conveyed off. Now that booster cart comes from this station. Let's go take a look at it. So beneath this lane, there's a very ugly on-off relay, which I should consolidate. I got my booster cart that's set to a RS and OR latch, and that booster cart will go up and fetch my empty cart. The booster cart will return, hit a reset switch for my circuit, come back into its holding station. The on-off relay is right here. The pressure plate has two signals coming off of it. The stone pressure plate right there has an on signal coming off and an off signal by Liberty of a torch coming off and attaching to a repeater. This is just like in my tutorial. So this on-off or output here will blink on when the player leaves the pressure plate and then be captured by my RS and OR latch. So let's take a look at it when a player rides it. If I can get out of here. I'm lost. Alright. So when a player rides into the station, they'll be hitting the switch and then they'll be carried off. So let's take a look at that. Hit the switch, go into the station, exit, and my cart's removed. So that's the incoming line.